Have you ever done everything right, eaten healthy fruits, stayed hydrated, tried to take care of yourself, yet somehow your kidneys still seem to weaken month after month? If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. And I need you to hear this clearly. Millions of Americans are unknowingly walking straight into kidney failure while believing they're making healthy choices. That's the terrifying part. The danger isn't loud. It doesn't warn you. It hides behind foods you trust, routines you repeat, and numbers the doctor says are a little high. But by the time creatinine rises even slightly, almost half of your kidney function may already be gone. And most people don't find out until it's too late to reverse the damage, which is exactly why this message matters. Because here's the truth, almost no one tells you some fruits, the same ones you've always heard are good for your heart, good for your immune system, good for your diet, can quietly overload weakened kidneys and push them closer and closer to failure. And the scariest part is that you won't feel a single warning sign while it's happening. But before panic takes over, listen carefully, because there is another side to this story, one filled with hope instead of fear. There are 4 specific fruits backed by science, proven in clinical practice, that do the exact opposite. They lower inflammation, help reduce creatinine support filtration, and in many cases help your kidneys recover when used correctly and consistently. Most people have never heard this because they've never had someone explain it to them, plainly, honestly, and urgently enough. That changes today. I'm Dr. Johnny, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which fruits protect your kidneys and which ones silently push them toward danger, so you can stop the damage now before it reaches the point of no return. And as you'll soon realize, the smallest choice in your grocery cart could become the turning point that saves your kidneys for the rest of your life. You know, one of the biggest shocks I see in my clinic isn't when someone's lab numbers suddenly spike. It's when a patient looks me in the eyes, genuinely confused, and says, "Doctor, I only eat healthy fruits. How on earth is my creatinine still going up?" And I want to be honest with you the same way I'm honest with them. The problem isn't that they're eating fruit. It's that they're eating the wrong fruit for damaged kidneys. Most people have no idea that a single banana, a glass of orange juice, or even a handful of melon can push potassium to dangerous levels when the kidneys are already struggling. Potassium is wonderful for a healthy heart, yes. But in a weakened kidney, that same potassium can act like an electrical overload, silently setting the stage for irregular heartbeats, fluid retention, and emergency room visits. It's the kind of danger you don't feel until it's almost too late. One woman I treated, Linda, was 62 and proud of her clean diet. Every morning she started with 2 bananas and a big cup of orange juice, her routine for years. She thought it was the healthiest breakfast possible, but when her blood test came back, her potassium was soaring, her creatinine was climbing, and she had no clue she was harming herself with the very food she trusted. When I showed her the numbers, she broke down and said I was trying my best. And that's the heartbreaking truth. Most people are trying their best. They're simply fighting the wrong enemy. Science supports this more than ever. Studies show that in people with declining kidney function, even one high-potassium fruit can spike potassium levels within hours, increasing the risk of arrhythmia, a risk that rises up to 40% when potassium stays elevated repeatedly. Add in hidden phosphorus that stiffens blood vessels and natural fruit sugars that fuel inflammation in kidney tissue, and suddenly what looked like a healthy habit becomes a slow, silent threat. It's not the fruit that's the problem. It's the mismatch between the fruit and the kidney's actual ability to handle it. And here's the part almost no one tells you. Kidney damage rarely announces itself. There's no sharp pain, no dramatic symptoms, just quiet decline, one bite at a time. That's why so many people fall into this trap. But once you understand the truth, something incredible happens. You finally see the difference between a fruit that overloads your system and a fruit that actually helps your kidneys heal. And trust me, that difference can change the entire direction of your health. But knowing this alone still isn't enough, because the real breakthrough comes when you learn about the fruits that do the opposite, fruits that don't burden your kidneys, but actually protect them. And the first one is far more powerful than most people realize. And once people finally understand that not every fruit is safe, the next question I always hear is, "So what can I eat, doctor?" And that's where the story gets a lot more hopeful, because while some fruits silently push your kidneys toward danger, others work like quiet bodyguards, giving your kidneys the support they desperately need. And one of the most powerful, ironically the most overlooked, is the simple apple. Most people walk past apples in the grocery store without a second thought. But if your kidneys are struggling, an apple isn't just a fruit, it's a strategy. Apples are naturally low in potassium, which means they never overload your filtration system the way bananas or oranges can. That alone makes them safer, but it's what's hiding in their peel that truly turns them into a kidney protective weapon. I remember a 58-year-old patient named Robert who came to me exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally. His creatinine was rising, his phosphorus was out of control, and he felt like nothing he ate was safe anymore. We reviewed his diet, and it was clear he needed something gentle, something his kidneys could handle without going into overdrive. I told him start with 1 apple a day, but don't peel it. He laughed at how simple it sounded, but 3 months later, he wasn't laughing. His phosphorus had dropped significantly, and his inflammation markers were down by almost a third. The secret: pectin. The soluble fiber in apple skins works like a sponge binding toxins, phosphorus, and waste in the gut before they ever reach your kidneys. It's like giving your kidneys a second filtration system, one they desperately need when their own filters are wearing down. Science backs this beautifully. Studies published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases show that people who consume 25-30 grams of fruit fiber a day, exactly the kind found in apples, see up to 23% better phosphorus control. Another 8-year study following more than 12,000 adults found that those who ate an apple a day had a 19% lower risk of developing chronic kidney disease. And that's not even counting the antioxidants in the peel-quercetin chlorogenic acid compounds that target the very inflammatory pathways that scar kidney tissue. When you combine all of that, an apple goes from ordinary fruit to daily kidney insurance policy. And the best part, it doesn't require special preparation, expensive supplements, or complicated routines. Just 1 whole apple skin on every day. Morning or evening doesn't matter. What matters is consistency, because kidneys respond to habits, not one-time choices. But as powerful as apples are, they're only the beginning. There's a fruit even smaller, even more concentrated, and even more protective. And it delivers benefits at the cellular level that apples alone can't match. But knowing apples isn't enough, because the next fruit doesn't just support your kidneys, its compounds can slow kidney aging itself. And once you understand how something as simple as an apple can quietly protect your kidneys, it opens your eyes to a deeper truth. The most powerful healing tools are often the ones we underestimate. And nowhere is that more true than with blueberries. Tiny, deep blue, almost fragile looking on the outside. Yet inside each one is a concentration of kidney protective compounds, so potent they can reach places most fruits never touch. Blueberries aren't just safe for the kidneys, they're specifically designed by nature to fight the very inflammation and oxidative stress that drive kidney decline in the first place. I'll never forget a patient named Susan, a retired school teacher who tried everything to stabilize her creatinine. She changed her diet, cut back on salt, drank more water, but her numbers barely moved. When I asked about her fruit intake, she hesitated, saying she'd given up most fruits because she was afraid of hurting her kidneys further. That fear is so common and so understandable. I told her, don't fear blueberries. Add half a cup into your routine 3 or 4 times a week. She looked doubtful. Could something that small really make a difference? 6 months later, her GFR had stabilized. Her inflammation markers were significantly lower, and she told me she felt like her body had finally stopped fighting itself. And she was right on a molecular level. That's exactly what happened. Because what makes blueberries truly extraordinary is their anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their blue color. These compounds don't just float around your bloodstream, they can actually cross the blood-kidney barrier, reaching the nephron cells where inflammation begins. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that anthocyanins can reduce kidney-damaging inflammatory cytokines by up to 47% in just a few weeks. That's not a small improvement. That's the difference between constant microscopic damage and giving your kidneys room to breathe again. Even better, blueberries help stabilize blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity, protecting the delicate blood vessels that feed your kidneys. Their effects on blood pressure, a reduction of 4 to 6 mmHg, may sound small, but those tiny shifts can lower the risk of kidney disease progression by nearly 7% for every 2-point drop. And what I love most is that blueberries require no complicated preparation. Fresh or frozen, they retain almost all of their anthocyanin power. Half a cup stirred into yogurt, oatmeal, or eaten straight from the bowl is enough to create measurable improvement over time. If apples are your daily insurance policy, then blueberries are your cellular shield, quiet, consistent, and incredibly effective. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because the next fruit doesn't just protect your kidneys from the outside, it can actually activate your body's internal repair system, flipping on the very genes responsible for healing. But knowing the power of blueberries is only the beginning, because the next fruit carries a compound so unique that it may help repair kidney cells. And once you've seen how blueberries work almost like microscopic bodyguards for your kidneys, it becomes impossible not to wonder if something that small can make such a big difference. What else has nature been hiding in plain sight? The answer appears in one of the most familiar fruits on the planet, red grapes. Most people think of them as nothing more than a quick snack. But for someone with rising creatinine, red grapes are far more than something sweet and convenient. They're a biochemical toolkit wrapped in a thin red skin. I remember a patient named Anthony, a 71-year-old grandfather who felt like his body was betraying him. His creatinine kept inching higher every month, and he told me, "Doctor, I feel like I'm running out of options." He had tried cutting salt, drinking more water, even eliminating most fruits because he was terrified of potassium. When I suggested adding red grapes into his weekly routine, he looked at me like I was joking. But what he didn't know, and what so many people still don't realize, is that red grapes contain resveratrol, a compound powerful enough to activate the kidney's own repair genes. This isn't theory, this is science. Resveratrol triggers SIRT1, a protein often called the longevity switch, which helps kidney cells repair DNA damage, calm inflammation, and stabilize their filtering function. In fact, a study published in Kidney International found that adding resveratrol-rich foods could improve kidney function by up to 22% in just 6 months. That's not just slowing decline, that's reversing part of the damage. And the darker the grape, the stronger the effect. Deep crimson and purple varieties can carry up to 5 times more resveratrol than green grapes, and pairing that with their naturally high water content, around 84% water, makes them one of the most kidney-friendly fruits you can choose. That hydration doesn't just quench your thirst, it helps flush out toxins gently without overwhelming your kidneys, the way sugary drinks or processed snacks do. The key, though, is consistency and the skin itself. All the resveratrol lives in that thin peel, so if you're someone who removes the skin, you're throwing away the very compound your kidneys need most. A small handful, about 15 to 20 grapes 2 or 3 times a week, is enough to give your kidneys what I call a repair pulse, a steady stream of antioxidants and healing signals that build up over time. And the shift Anthony experienced wasn't subtle. His inflammation markers dropped, his energy came back, and for the first time in years, his lab results moved in the right direction. But as powerful as red grapes are, they're still only part of the puzzle. Because while resveratrol flips on your kidney's repair switch, there's another fruit, tropical golden and often misunderstood, that carries an enzyme capable of breaking down deep inflammation before it ever reaches your filtration system. But knowing the power of red grapes still isn't enough, because the next fruit contains a compound so unique and so often overlooked that it may be the missing piece in lowering creatinine naturally. And once you understand how red grapes can switch on your kidney's repair system, it's only natural to wonder if there's a fruit that goes even further, one that doesn't just activate healing, but actively breaks down the inflammation, damaging your kidneys day after day. And surprisingly, that fruit isn't rare, expensive, or exotic in the way most people imagine. It's bright golden and sitting in almost every grocery store. Pineapple. Most people think of pineapple as a vacation fruit, something sweet you enjoy in the summertime. But if your creatinine has been creeping up, pineapple may be one of the most therapeutic choices you can make. What makes it special isn't just its low potassium content, though that alone makes it far safer than mangoes, bananas, or oranges. What sets pineapple apart is an enzyme called bromelain, found in its core, and fresh flesh, a naturally occurring compound with remarkable anti-inflammatory and anti-fibrotic properties. I once worked with a gentleman named Carlos, a 63-year-old who'd been battling swelling in his legs, constant fatigue, and a rising creatinine level that worried him more than he admitted. He told me, "Doctor, I just want to feel normal again." Instead of adding more restrictions, I gave him something simple, half a cup of fresh pineapple 2 or 3 times a week. Nothing canned, nothing processed, just fresh pineapple with its enzymes still intact. Within weeks, his swelling eased, he felt lighter, and his lab results started shifting. When we repeated his blood work months later, the improvement wasn't small. His inflammation markers had dropped dramatically, and his creatinine, once stuck in place, finally began to move in the right direction. That wasn't luck, that was the enzyme at work. Bromelain has been shown in clinical research to help reduce inflammatory markers linked directly to kidney damage by up to 42%, making it one of the few natural compounds that can penetrate tissue inflammation instead of merely masking it. And pineapple brings another gift, vitamin C, nearly 78 milliliters in a single cup, acting as an antioxidant shield, neutralizing the free radicals that chip away at kidney cells and accelerate decline. Combined with its naturally hydrating nature, pineapple becomes something far more valuable than a snack. It becomes a gentle, kidney-friendly cleanser, helping your body flush waste without the strain caused by sugary drinks or salty foods. But there's one crucial rule: it must be fresh. Canned pineapple loses nearly all its bromelain during processing and often contains added sugars that force your kidneys to work even harder. Fresh pineapple, ideally including a bit of the fibrous core, is where the real therapeutic power lies. And just like every fruit we've talked about, consistency is everything. Healing isn't about perfection, it's about repetition. A small serving 2 to 3 times per week, week after week, can create changes. You'll feel not just in your lab numbers, but in your energy, your swelling, your clarity, your day-to-day comfort. But even understanding the power of pineapple isn't the end of the story, because choosing the right fruits is only half of what determines whether your kidneys stay stable or continue to decline. There's a deeper layer, one that ties all of this together and may be the deciding factor between long-term recovery and long-term damage. But knowing these fruits still isn't enough, because the true breakthrough comes when you discover how to combine them, rotate them, and turn them into a daily rhythm your kidneys can thrive on. If you've made it all the way to this point, I want you to hear me clearly. You're already doing something powerful for your health. Most people wait until their kidneys fail before they start fighting back, but you're choosing to learn to act and to take control now while your kidneys still have a chance to recover. And that alone makes you stronger than you realize. Healing doesn't come from perfection. It comes from small, consistent steps made with intention. Even adding one of these fruits into your weekly routine, even drinking clean water instead of soda, even choosing a lower sodium meal, those choices matter more than you think. They add up. They change your numbers. They change your future. So if this video gave you clarity, comfort, or hope, please save it so you can come back to the information whenever you need it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because every week I share simple, science-backed kidney tips designed to help you protect your filtration power, lower your creatinine, and keep your kidneys strong for life. You deserve information you can trust, and I'm here to give you exactly that. And before we end, I want to leave you with this. No matter what your lab results say right now, you are not powerless. Your kidneys are resilient. They've carried you through years of stress, late nights, medications, and mistakes, and they're still fighting for you. When you give them the right support, even the smallest shifts can create incredible change. So keep learning, keep caring for yourself, and keep believing in your body's ability to heal. I'm Dr. Johnny, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll take the next step towards stronger, healthier kidneys together.